On March 12, 2001, Sarah Faith was born addicted to cocaine and spent the first 10 days of her life in the hospital going through withdrawals. Then she was moved to a rehab facility with her mother. After her mom's stint in rehab, Sarah would spend the next few years bouncing back and forth between her mom, aunt, and grandmother.
She didn't want a baby, she wanted to do her drugs, and she would want me when I was cute and quiet, which babies are not cute and quiet all the time. We get hungry, we need diaper changes, and she didn't understand that. She didn't know how to be a mother, and she didn't want to learn.
Sarah continued bouncing from place to place, even sleeping alone in a park at just 12 years old. It was a visit to her brother in jail that changed Sarah's life as she knew it.
It was around the time my mom had gone back to jail, and I had been homeless again for a period of time, and my brother had come down, one of my older brothers, and he had drug problems, and he got caught with drug paraphernalia and went to jail. And when we went up there to go get him, I was with a woman who had no custody of either of us. We were both under 18, and there had been a hotline call made to DHS, and so DHS came and got us from the jail. And that's how I came into care, and that was the last time I lived with my mother.
Sarah says the first few months in care were rough.
I was angry. I refused to eat there. I refused to sleep. We all had chores. I refused to do my chores. I told them I wanted to go home.
In 2016, around the same time Sarah's mom's rights were terminated, Terry Gregory was appointed as Sarah's CASA, or Court-Appointed Special Advocate.
Originally, my case goal plan was reunification, and then her rights were terminated, so then it was independent living. They offered adoption, and I was like, no. Nobody is going to adopt somebody who's this old. Nobody's going to adopt somebody who has all the problems that somebody who has been in care has. The anxiety, the depression, the PTSD, the sleeping disorders, anything that a child in care who has gone through trauma has. Most people don't want to deal with that. They want babies that they can integrate into their home that don't know what happened, or toddlers who will soon forget and become part of that normal family that they want. But when you have somebody who's as old as me who remembers their family and knows what happened and lives with that trauma, that was my mindset. And for the longest, I kept it independent living, even after Miss Terry became my CASA.
Miss Terry was the one who convinced Sarah to change her mind.
If it wasn't for Miss Terry, I can't say that I would have ever been adopted. I can't say that I would have ever had somebody call and ask me why I had a D in choir and come up to the school and tell me I needed to fix that. I can't say I know any caseworker that would sit outside in 40-degree weather to eat McDonald's with me. I can't say that I would have someone to buy me clothes and jewelry and just little gifts.
That's what a CASA does. CASA is the constant in a child's life. No matter where they go, you're there.
CASA is a volunteer-driven nonprofit with a mission to serve abused and neglected children in communities all across Arkansas. Volunteers like Miss Terry are trained to support the children they serve by painting a complete picture of what each child needs and providing it to the judge presiding over each case.
You can spend anywhere from 8 or 10 hours a month to you can spend 40 hours a month. It just it depends on what cases you have and what needs to be done at that time.
CASA oftentimes gives the court information that the court would not get otherwise. The caseworker works for DHS. He or she may not have that on the top of their list of priorities of giving that information to the court. Caseworkers are often overburdened, overworked, and don't have the resources to do that eyes and ears going into the schools, doing the investigation, pulling the records, going to the hospital, talking to the doctor, talking to the therapist, getting that independent, in-depth information that needs to come to the court, because I, as the judge, cannot make a good decision on a good day if I don't have the relevant, important information that needs to come to court for which I can make that decision.
Most of the people that the children come into contact with in our foster care system, most of the folks are going to be there partially, hopefully because they like doing that work, but there's also a job. So if you have the family service worker, Certainly, many of the family service workers are dedicated, motivated individuals, but it is a job. Even for me as a judge, while I like doing what I do, I get paid to do what I do. But the CASA person, that's a volunteer. That's somebody who's simply there because they think it's the right thing for them to do.
I do it because I have the heart for it. There were some things that happened to me as a child, and I feel like I really need to reach out, reach back, and give back to someone else, because it's not always about me. It's other children out there that may need me, so I want to be there for them.
It's very hard for a child to go through this system and not have that consistency from a parent that always be there. And I really have learned that from Sarah, that how important it is for the child themselves to have good self-esteem. And so I really work on that with each child. I work on their self-esteem more than anything else.
It's hard because you need to put a lot of your heart in it. It's important and needed, but in some cases, I'm very happy when it happens at reunification, if that's the best for the children. But all of the cases touch you, because I mean, you get very deep in them.
I had one lady tell me, I don't know if I can go through the emotional heartache of seeing this child like that. And I said, if you don't go through that emotional heartache, you don't need to be a CASA.
It gives you a chance to use your life experiences. Sometimes it gives you a chance to use what you've learned in your career and your job to speak for a little child that has no one to speak for them. And so it's really the reward of knowing you're doing the right thing and doing a good thing for someone who needs your help.
It's hard. I can't just say it's just amazing, because I would be lying. It's hard. You feel the emotions that pour off of your children. These children who have been abused, who have been neglected, who cry in your arms, or when their parents' rights are terminated, you're who they're going to turn to. You've been there from start of their case to now, and you're going to be there through the finish. You're who they trust. When they have something they need, you're who meets those needs. You're the person that they trust, and that's a hard thing to get from a kid who has been through trauma. And don't take that lightly, because it's not something to take lightly, because we are careful no matter what age, whether they're 7 and they're trusting you or 17 and trusting you. That's hard to gain.
We feel like we're really making a difference in some kiddos' life. We've seen kids reunited with their parents numerous times when we listen to the parents a lot. They get frustrated and they get discouraged, and they'll call and they'll want to talk. What do you think? Do you think I'm going to get my kids back? They just need some reassurance that if they follow their program, they will. And then we have cases where they're not reunited with their parents, but we've seen them go into wonderful foster homes. I mean, not foster homes, but adoptive homes.
On February 4th, 2019, Sarah was officially adopted by a husband and wife CASA team. She's now a student at the University of Central Arkansas, majoring in psychology and addiction studies, with plans to get her master's in social work. Sarah says she hopes her story encourages those in similar situations, as well as inspires more people to become CASA volunteers.